Hi, my name is Sahira Dean. I'm virtual PLC lead for High School 2D Art. In today's webinar, we're going to be talking about classroom management strategies. Now, I must say this was, it looked a little different coming back from our COVID time, but essentially the bulk of it is still very similar, if not the same. I think this year I did a lot more readjusting like a lot of other teachers just to getting students back into the classroom. So a lot of my students that stayed virtual, even when they could come back face to face, getting to know them a little bit more, making sure they were felt connected and things like that. I spent a little more time doing that. So that brings me to our first, one of my biggest beliefs in teaching is building rapport with students. And this definitely starts on day one. So if you are a new educator or new to teaching, especially art, because a lot of students do feel more connected with their art teachers, this can become one of your biggest ways to win in the classroom, I feel. So making sure that you're visible, whether that be at the door, as students come in, when the bell changes, or even just, taking a little break and walking through the hall on your planning period, walking through the lunch room, just to be visible, going to games sometimes. That kind of thing is really, really important for students, because, just, oh, hey, that kind of like that, hey, during non-classroom time, it just, makes students feel a little more special. Of course, greeting each student, that kind of goes hand in hand with being visible, following up. So, for example, if you learn that maybe a student got a new job one day while you're talking to them, maybe a couple weeks later, or even the next week, how'd your first day go? How'd you like your uniform? What do you like about the job? What do you not like about the job? Oh, I remember when my first job was at blah, 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 and this happened. But just sharing and talking to the student just to let them know, oh, I've been there, or I remember I was actually listening when we were speaking the last time. It goes a long way. Working the room, as they say. So this is a big one too, while projects are going around and checking on students. And this could be a follow-up kind of scenario as well. Or maybe you took some time to look at some of the grades in their other class. I tend to do that a lot of times. If they're struggling in my class, I'll go in and look at, their other grades for their other classes. But, just how's your math class going? Or how's your little brother? Or, oh, I remember when your older sibling was here, or just, anything. But this is definitely important, just visiting and kind of talking. Of course, giving them feedback on their projects is important too, but also letting them know that, okay, you care more about just how they're doing with your project. But I also must say that if they're behind or failing your class, taking the time to address that as well is important as well. Emailing parents is important too. So not only emailing about something that something good, and also bad, but just doing both of those consistently is important. So maybe they got a really good grade on a quiz that you gave out, or a project that you gave, or maybe they didn't, and it's been a routine, right? So making sure that you contact the parent with not only bad news, but also good news is definitely important as well. And there's some parents that when I first started teaching 13, 14 years ago, that I still keep in contact with on social media. So relationships definitely matter. And then through those connections, sometimes parents will give back to your classroom through time or donations. Students will give back also. So definitely build relationships. So supplies, I mentioned this in another webinar, but it also fits here. Making sure that your everything is labeled, and that if you do not have like a toolbox at each table, or even if you're able to afford a toolbox per student, definitely consider that. So like when we are painting, for example, what I've done is go in and assign students paintbrushes. That way, and also they get a paintbrush grade every other week. So that allows you to save money on not buying brushes, as much. It allows them to, as they matriculate through your program, to just be in the habit of cleaning up behind themselves, and just helps, to keep things more organized. So they have a lot more ownership when it comes to, oh, this is my paintbrush for this project. I can't lose it because that's going to affect my grade. And the habit will hopefully just kind of stick with them as they go through your classes. Following up is important too, because if you say that you're going to do something, actually following up and actually doing it. So for example, if you say, oh, I'm going to come to your game, or I'm going to come and see, sit with you at lunchtime, or I'm going to call your parent tonight or email your parent the information, that kind of thing. It's definitely important to do because it just sets the standard of, oh, she or he does what they actually say they're going to do, So if you're, just kind of laying things out that you're going to do and that you don't continuously do them, then, from my experience, and if you think about your own experience where someone has done that, you don't take their word as you would someone that actually follows up and does what they say they're going to do. So definitely one important thing, follow up and make sure you do it if you say you're going to do it. Be sure that they know that you care and definitely have fun. So being sure that they know that you care is definitely a big one because it can save you as a teacher a lot of just kind of being shrugged off later on. So this could be, something small as maybe they got a haircut and their hair is different, or maybe their glasses are different. Maybe that's just pointing out that you noticed, or paying them a compliment, right? So especially if you think about art kids, we tend to have, our own style. So acknowledging that, oh, your shirt is really cool, or, did you make that kind of thing? Where'd you get it? That can spark a lot of interest from students just with small compliments. Having fun, so whether that's playing music, I'm a big fan of playing music in my classroom, especially on Fridays. I'll change it up and play a little bit something different. But I'm not the one to necessarily dance in classrooms, but I do like a certain kind of just vibe, right? So you can kind of achieve that through what kind of the type of music you play. So whatever fun looks like for you, definitely do that. So every once in a while, I'll bring in some of my own work, especially if they're like in the middle of a project and, I'm not necessarily helping as many students as I once was at the beginning of the project. I might bring some artwork in and actually paint or work with them just so they can see me working and know that, the arts don't have to just be like a class you take. It could be something that you do even in your adult life and things like that. So being sure they know you care and having fun is one other tip I have for teaching. So please feel free to join me on the high school 2D art community if you have not already. I would love to interact with you a little bit more there. Feel free to ask questions, take part in the discussion. If you have anything to share, any tips and tricks that you've learned along the way, please feel free to do that as well. Again, my name is Sahira Dean. I'm the virtual PLC lead for high school 2D art. See you in the next one.